This is the Jianxiang drone, a so-called suicide drone. Its main purpose is to seek out targets, fly directly toward them, and then explode on impact. This model is one of Taiwan's first ever domestically manufactured suicide drones. Military analysts believe these drones could help deter naval attacks from across the Taiwan Strait.
中共对台湾的威胁来自于海上，今天过来这个舰翔的无人机，刚好就是反辐射的一种自杀无人机，对它的军舰实施自杀攻击。
Taiwan has lived with the threat of invasion for decades. Neighboring China considers the country as part of its territory and has vowed to bring Taiwan under its control by force if necessary. Recently, China has been ramping up its military presence around Taiwan's coastline. Experts believe that utilizing drones could go a long way to enhancing Taiwan's defensive capabilities.
你说的这个 drone 的用法，的确就是它可以发挥就是这种观察的效果。那你观察之后，你就可以用 anti-ship missile， 就是反舰飞弹去攻击中国的这些 warship， 这是一个很好的方法。
Taiwan has a number of different types of drones in its arsenal, each meant for a different mission set.
There's very big varieties of drones, right? There is reconnaissance drones, homemade drones, long-range drones that can fire on the enemy. But again, war is about intelligence, preventing your enemy from surprising you.
In Europe, the war in Ukraine has demonstrated how drones can be used to fend off larger attacking forces. Ukraine's military has been using drones as a way to monitor Russian troop movements. This information then allows them to focus artillery fire on their targets.
Having the firepower now, and then knowing exactly what to use that firepower on, not a single round is wasted.
Taiwan's military expenditure still pales in comparison to China. Beijing spends almost 17 times more than Taipei in defense and has roughly 4 times the number of military aircraft. But experts say that drones like the Jianxiang provide a cost-effective solution, allowing Taiwan to help protect its borders without breaking the bank.
目前这个自杀无人机变成一个是比较便宜的一个弹药，我们通常称为是 low cost munition， 这对于抵消敌人的这个数量优势很有帮助。所以对台湾来讲，因为你的国防资源比较有限，你的 budget 你的预算比较有限，所以这些无人机就会变成台湾一个很好的选择。
Taiwan's military plans to procure more drones from the West while also developing its domestic drone capabilities. The country is hopeful that doing so can help ensure national security and avoid putting Taiwanese troops in harm's way.
The U.S. has already sent many Switchblade 300 drones and 600, considered light-flying grenades. How will these drones help the Ukrainian army stop the well-armored Russian tanks? The Switchblade is a tactical strike uncrewed aerial vehicle, UAV, system produced by AeroVironment, an American defense contractor headquartered in Arlington, Virginia. The Biden administration pledged it to Kyiv as part of its $800 million military aid package announced in March 2022. The Russian armed forces personnel filmed the video in question while inspecting the wreckage of what appears to be a Switchblade 600 drone. From what can be gleaned from the video, only the rear part of the drone with batteries and an electric motor was left after the impact. The U.S. included hundreds of killer drones in a colossal weapons package for Ukraine that President Joe Biden approved earlier this month, U.S. officials confirmed on Wednesday. Celeste Wallander, Assistant Secretary of Defense for International Security Affairs, told lawmakers that Kyiv asked for the weapons, dubbed kamikaze drones, as it fights off a Russian invasion. We have ordered hundreds of Switchblade tactical unmanned aerial systems to be delivered in the latest presidential withdrawal package, Wallander said in testimony before the House Armed Services Committee. We've heard the Ukrainians, and we take that request very seriously, she said. Pentagon spokesman John Kirby told reporters last week that the drones would arrive in Ukraine soon. He declined to elaborate further. The decision to equip Ukraine with killer drones, dubbed Switchblade, follows Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's request to U.S. lawmakers for additional military equipment. Deploying Switchblades to the fight in Ukraine could be the most effective use of the weapons in combat, as it is unclear how often the U.S. military has used killer drones on the battlefield. The Switchblade drone has two variants, Switchblade 300 and Switchblade 600. The Ukrainian military has already been using the Switchblade 300 variant, which weighs 2.5 kilograms, including the warhead, and has an endurance of 15 minutes. While the Switchblade 600 is an extended range variant with a range of 40 kilometers, weighs 54.4 kilograms, all-inclusive weight, and is equipped with a dual electro-optical and infrared sensor suite. Switchblade UAVs rise to prominence in Ukraine war. The Switchblade drones were not very popular before, despite being used by the U.S. military for several years. However, the ongoing Ukraine war brought rapid prominence to Switchblade munitions, after several reports of their success against various Russian military targets. The Switchblade 300 is designed for pinpoint strikes against enemy personnel or unprotected weapons, such as a mortar launcher or exposed machine gun emplacement. It has a remarkable feature called waved-off capability to prevent collateral damage. For example, the operator can adjust the blast radius, so the drone kills only the driver of a vehicle, but not a passenger. According to AeroVironment, the weapon can be waved off up to 2 seconds before the impact. The drone costs as little as $6,000 by some estimates. The UAV has cameras on board, but is often used with a mini surveillance drone for better battlefield awareness. The two drones are integrated with sensor-to-shooter software that enables instant transfer of target coordinates from the surveillance drone to the Switchblade 300. The Switchblade 600 drone, with its endurance of 40 minutes, can be used against larger hardened targets via an anti-armor warhead and does not need external surveillance or fire assets. Notably, the Switchblade 600 also has the recommit capability and wave-off, allowing the drone operators to abort the mission at any time and re-engage the same or other targets multiple times. The Switchblade 600 drones may have arrived in Ukraine last year. In October 2022, Ukraine's Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov said in an interview with Politico that the first batch of Switchblade 600s, comprising 10 examples of the drone, could arrive within weeks. Imagine if Ukraine had access to UAVs that had an order of magnitude more payload, 12 times the range, the ability to fly across the entire county of Ukraine and stay aloft for over a day, said retired Lieutenant Gen. David A. Deptula, Dean of the Mitchell Institute. I'm talking about the MQ-1 Gray Eagle and MQ-9 Predator, of which the U.S. has dozens sitting in storage crates in the Western Desert not in use or planned for use by any U.S. agency. The AeroVironment Switchblade is a miniature loitering munition designed by AeroVironment and used by several branches of the United States military. Small enough to fit in a backpack, the Switchblade launches from a tube, flies to the target area, and crashes into its target, while detonating its explosive warhead. The name Switchblade comes from how the spring-loaded wings are folded inside a tube and flipped out once released. Introduced in 2011, the original Switchblade has rebranded the Switchblade 300 after the much larger and very different Switchblade 600 anti-armor variant was unveiled in 2020. The Blackwing, an unarmed variant of the Switchblade 300, was released in 2015. Over 700 Switchblade 300 drones were sent to Ukraine by the United States as part of an arms package after the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine. Conceived by the U.S. Air Force Special Operations Command, AFSOC, and developed by the U.S. Army, the Switchblade was meant to help U.S. troops respond to enemy ambushes in Afghanistan. Close air support takes time to arrive, is expensive to conduct, and risks collateral damage in urban areas. Troop-carried guided missiles, such as the FGM-148 Javelin, are also much larger, heavier, and more expensive, and few, if any, are carried on a typical patrol. On 29 July 2011, the U.S. Army awarded AeroVironment a $4.9 million contract for rapid fielding of an unspecified number of Switchblades to forces in Afghanistan. On 20 March 2012, the Army added $5.1 million, totaling $10 billion.